The Frida's Cleaning Service is a small family-owned business established in 2003. With over 17 years of professional, high-quality, and greatly satisfied service, the Frida's Cleaning Service will get the job done. Specializing in sanitizing your home, business, post-construction, and commercial cleaning, no job's too big or small. See for yourself and give us a call, 567-249-9172. La Frida's Cleaning Service. Our reputation is always spotless.
Hi, this is TV comedy impressionist Christopher G from the other side of the pond saying hi, and I love the Queen Silvy show.
Welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. Tune in at 11, good laugh, good vibe, that's for sure. Get smooth with Tim, get smooth with Tim. They have you running like you popped the pill. Once you hear the show, you ain't gonna want it to end. Get creative with the sounds you can make with your mouth. Reaching all over the world, Queen Silvy in the house. Award-winning show at the #1 spot, look out. It's the Queen Silvy Show, 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 it's the Queen Silvy Show.
Hi, this is Joe Mass. You are listening to the Queen Silvy Show. You are now part of the royalty.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live, it's time for the silky smooth sounds of Smooth Tim and Her Majesty herself, Queen Silvy.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you for dropping in with us on another terrific Tuesday on the multiple award-winning Queen Silvy Show. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you this beautiful woman to my left, be on your right-hand side of the screen, the Queen herself, Queen Silvy.
That's and so much more. Yes, this is Queen Silvy on this terrific Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this great world today. I hope you're ready. Super greatness is in store for you. Smooth, how are you today?
I'm doing terrific on this Tuesday, Queen. And might I ask, how are you doing?
Well, as always, I'm supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, I suppose, is 24/7, 365. Queen Silvy, as always, is simply
amazing.
Yes, you are.
True that it is what it is. I'm amazing, but you are amazing, Smooth. You are amazing, as well as our amazing guests and announcements for today.
Absolutely. As always, our hearts and prayers are going out to everybody around the world. There's always still a war going on over there in Ukraine, Russia. Please stop. There's all kinds of stuff going on here just because of indifferences. How about that? Let's call them indifferences. And let's just settle our stuff. And you know what the Queen always says? Hey, faith over fear.
That's right.
And also, you will have seen coming at the very beginning of the show, we're going to have with us today holistic mental wellness coach, Carleigh Burns. And we'll see what Carleigh's going to bring to the table.
Hey, we're going to talk some anxiety.
It's always nice to have some holistic mental wellness.
Right.
And, You look stunningly beautiful.
I was going to say that about you, Smoothie Smooth.
Well, I thank you so much. But I tell you what, how about because you're worth it? And you are stunningly beautiful. Foxy 5 jewelry.
Yeah.
Sassy, elegant, and affordable, fashionable jewelry and accessories for you or that's someone special. Go ahead and get on hold of Monica Wright on Facebook or go to her website at www.foxy5jewelry.com. Analytics from last week.
Hey.
That's right. Hey, Australia, France, Ireland, hey, Africa, Poland, Germany, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Hey, folks, thank you for tuning on in.
We definitely do. In fact, hey, what you want to say is what I'm going to say, and that is if you are watching this live, we want you to know that Smooth and myself, we love and appreciate you. And if you're watching this later on the archive, say, what?
Our love is everlasting.
Our love is
I almost stepped all over your line.
Oh, that's
that
okay.
We love and appreciate.
I'll back right up and do it again. What? Hello.
Amen.
That's how I will, indeed. But we do love and appreciate you on this terrific Tuesday, the Queen Silvy Show. You are in for a definite treat. Everyone has some type of anxiety. We are here to provide the best in live entertainment, talents, and topics from around the world to you. So our guest is here to help you, give you some tools and steps to be a better you and to get out of that feeling of being
out of that
stuck.
rut. Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Whatever it might be.
So you do have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else to come on in and get some of the super greatness we have in store for you. So before we get things going, what I'd like to do at this moment is, thank you. I'd like to share some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. Promise yourself that no matter how hard it gets, you will never give up on your dreams. Stay true to yourself, yet always open to learn. Promise to fall in love with yourself no matter what. And make yourself a priority. You know why? Because you're worth it. You know, people with good intentions, they make promises. But people with good character, they keep them. And those are some motivational words. Yeah, from the Queen Silvy Show.
You drove them crazy earlier, just announcing you were going to do that.
What?
The audience, just stop.
I do that sometimes. Stop, guys, stop. Guys.
Right.
Okay.
Enough accolades.
Right. Save that because I would love to represent my good kings and queens all over the world and give some shout outs to you, Kinsley Patino, Queen Jenna, Queen Ashley Follett Clark, and Kenneth Rose.
Shout out to you.
Helen Myers, Peace Myers, Corey and Casey Patino, and Joan Mercer.
Shout out to you.
Queen Aaliyah, Asia, Tay, Maya, Camille, and Dejour.
Shout out to you.
You like my voice? Me too. Shout out to my grandsons, Omari, Jonathan Jr., Tyron, and my great-grandson, DJ. Hey.
Shout out to you.
Queen Sonia, Kaki, Shanika, Brianna, Alana, and Precious.
Shout out to you.
I think I need to clear my throat. One moment, please. So much better. To Kelly and Ryan and the All-American Boys, Matt and Tracy, and the All-American Girls. Hey.
Shout out to you.
Patricia Wilhelm McGiffin, C. Shorty, Franklin, Pamela Anderson, Renita Easley, Gold, Rosa, and Donna Ferry.
Shout out to you.
To my good friends down in Africa, Amy Kanema, Webster Rito, Hostile Flow, Hero Boy, and Princess Ariel Lua.
Shout out to you.
To my good friends in United Kingdom, Beth Lambert, Nicola Jones, Bethany Jones, and Kay Cross.
Shout out to you.
You like my voice still, do ya? Yeah, I know. Shout out to DJ, Team Brooke 100, Lorenzo Gabaniza, Christine Lewis Anderson, James, and Audrey.
Shout out to you.
Serious Edition, Nana Linda Hartley, Queen D. Brown, Sandra and Ben Johnson, Melody Gorb Dobbs.
Shout out to you.
To Miguel Montalban, Brian Pearson, Brenda Ramirez, Damu Gotti, and my good friend, Joe Mass. Hey.
Shout out to you.
That's right. Hey, if you would love to be shouted out, if you have someone you would love for us to represent and shout out, We gladly do that. 3 days a week, every Tuesday, with the multiple award winning The Queen Silvy Show every Wednesday with Tim's Tidbits, special co host Larry E. out of Dallas, Texas, and every Thursday on the Now You Know Show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim. Simply send me your name, contact information to Queen Silvy at comic.com. Go to the website, thequeensylvyshow.com, or where you're viewing or watching this, leave it in the comment section. There, my good man Smooth will make sure we get it taken care of, as we aim to bring the best in live entertainment, talents, topics, and resources from around the world just for you. Check out this resource. And when we get back, let's get it on, because I have a fantastic guest here for you on The Queen Silvy Show.
There you go.
Hey, we are back on this terrific Tuesday. As I said, you have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else in to come and get some of the super greatness and knowledge that you are in for on this terrific Tuesday. With over 14 years in mental health, sharing her extensive personal experience healing from crippling anxiety, ADHD, bipolar disorder, all without the use of medication. Passionate and on a mission to empower women to naturally overcome anxiety, heal the mind, and transform your life. Live, I introduce to you holistic mental wellness coach, Reiki and sound healer, yoga teacher, mental warrior, Carleigh Burns.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much
Hi,
for having
Carleigh.
me.
Thank you so much for taking the time being here on this terrific
It's my
Tuesday.
pleasure.
Let me start off by you taking me back. Take me back to the 12-year-old Carleigh and share what was going on in your life at that time.
Yeah, so from an outside perspective, my life would have looked pretty normal at the age of 12. You know, grew up in suburbia, went to a normal public school, but what you wouldn't see is that I was really struggling with just crippling anxiety. Really had no love for myself, had no reason in my mind. I had no reason to continue living. And the background story for that is that I grew up in a household where my father was undiagnosed with bipolar disorder. And we believe his father was as well. And we now know so was I. So there was a lot of tension in our house. My dad and I didn't really get along, and it was nobody's fault. We were both sick and we didn't know that. But how that manifested in me as a 12-year-old was this deep belief that I was not loved, I was not worthy of love. And that led to me planning to end my life.
Wow. Now that is so serious and deep and sad for a preteen teenager who have so much going on, so much to look forward to. I know that over the years, your anxiety grew into disordered eating and substance abuse, a pivotal moment at the age of 19. So you're going from 12 all the way to 19 with so much inside of you. Tell me about that time, even as you got older.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly when a switch happened, when I decided I'm not going to act on the thoughts that I was having on potentially taking my life. But I do know that what was a very deep depression kind of spiraled into, like you mentioned, disordered eating. When I was 14, I was very skinny. I was the same height I am now and 25 pounds less. And still, had this idea that I was fat and that I couldn't love myself if I was fat. So I had to lose weight. And it was a very unhealthy obsession. And again, at the age of 14, which is way too young, I started drinking. And the intention was always, I wanted to drink to forget. I wanted to, and I think a lot of people use alcohol as that escape.
Mm-hmm.
People often maybe find it when they're a little bit older. But I would drink on the weekends at, at high school parties where we really shouldn't be doing these things. And I always would make myself sick. I would drink to the point that I was sick, and then I was, in bed for a couple days dealing with that hangover. And I'd tell myself that felt like crap. I don't want to do it again. And I would do it again the next weekend. And this went on for years, until the age of 19, when I decided it's not fun wasting 2 days in bed every week because I feel sick.
Right.
That was really a pivotal moment that you speak about when I was 19. It was just before I was in third year university. It was just before going on exchange down to New Zealand, which I've always loved travel. But back then it was really the idea of travel. I had never really left North America. I had never gone overseas. It was the most exciting thing that had ever happened to me at that point. And a few days leading up to it, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was fully in this manic episode. And it got to the point where I couldn't quite control myself. I was at my last day of work before going to New Zealand, and I couldn't talk to customers. You could see I already speak fast. I was speaking so fast, people couldn't understand me. And I decided, I can't spend the day here. I'm not super functional right now. I need to go to the hospital. And went there and had a really lovely conversation. I had a beautiful psychiatrist who saw me, and she basically said, I told her, I don't want to be put on medication. She said, I can see that you're manic right now. What do you want from us? And we just worked out a way that I could basically get to New Zealand without having a panic attack on the plane was the thing I wanted. But experiencing that mania confirmed what at the time was my biggest fear, which was that I had bipolar disorder. And that was a fear because at this point, my dad had been diagnosed. He was diagnosed probably 2 years before that. And I was so afraid that I was going to potentially have a relationship with my child like my dad and I had. And I can talk about that very openly because we have healed our relationship, and he's now one of my best friends in the world, which is amazing. And I guess another story. But when I had that manic episode, it was like my biggest fear had come true and I was totally fine. And I was like, okay, like maybe I do have this, disorder, which I don't love that word, but maybe my brain is able to feel these things, but that doesn't change who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to turn me into some monster that I don't want to become. And that was a huge moment because that's when I decided, okay, this is real. How can I work with this? How can I move past this? How can I find healing and avoid taking medication and be able to still live the life I want to live?
So you know what? You are amazing. I know that some out here in the world can relate to that. And those that can't listen to that and be like, wow. And then I listen and I'm like, wow, but I'm also like kind of thankful because you made it through. Some don't. At even 12 years old, it's sad when you turn on the TV and a teenager has taken their life. They didn't have that support or that path opened up for them. You have, and we are honored. That's why I'm honored that you're here, because I know there's a lot of people that's hurting, a lot of people that's stuck, feeling stuck, or they've had something happen in their life and they just can't get over it. It is true. But now from all that you've been through, Carleigh, and overcome, how did you get to where you are today?
It's been a long journey. Absolutely. And you're so right that a big part of the reason that I feel so called to share this story is because I know there are so many people struggling that maybe can't see that light at the end of the tunnel, or that think that, medication is the only answer. And I want to shed light on the fact that you can heal, and you can heal naturally if you have the drive and the dedication to do so.
Absolutely.
So for me, that healing journey really started when I was in New Zealand. That kicked it all off. And because I had just faced my biggest fear in the world, I essentially learned that I had nothing to be afraid of. And I started doing these things that I had wanted to do for so long, learning how to ski, and started going on multi-day hikes. And for me, a lot of those things were adventure driven because I always really wanted to connect with nature in a way that I didn't have growing up in, the suburbs of Toronto, where I was surrounded by concrete and a television.
Right.
So Yeah, starting to really connect with nature. And what I realize now as well is the hobbies I was feeling called to are connecting so many things that were good for my mind, like exercise, nature, community, feeling driven to improve. Like with skiing, it's like, okay, great, I can go down the green. How can I get to that next level? And you see that self-improvement, even if it's this way that doesn't really matter, it still felt really good.
Yeah.
And another huge one that also kind of tied in with that adventure, which was just a huge part of my journey back then, was that I decided to prioritize having a beautiful day, which meant going to bed earlier and not, binge drinking the night before, over staying up till 4 a.m. and then, sleeping the day away.
Yeah, self-discipline, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Self-discipline. And I love nature. I just don't like bugs. So where does that leave me at? I'm one of those new kind of campers. We love camping in nature too, only I'm just take a couple extra things that you normally shouldn't take when you're camping. But you know what? It's like nature's therapy. You know what I mean? You can get, boy, you can't even find a prescription to give you what you can get out in the world. That's just there waiting for anyone. But tell me, Carleigh, do you have any educational background or training or any achievements that you are most proud of through your journey?
Absolutely. So another huge part of my journey, another huge pivotal moment was getting my yoga teacher training. And this was only about 6 months after I experienced mania. So that was a huge thing. I was like, hey, I know yoga is so healing. I want to dive into this. So I was 20 years old when I got my yoga teacher training.
All right.
Which is something I'm absolutely proud of. I love teaching. I love practicing. That's a huge part of my life. Then I ended up deciding to add psychology as a second major because of all of what I was going through with my mental health. So at the time I was studying biology and had taken a couple psych courses, was thinking maybe I'll make that a minor. And after this manic episode, I realized, what, psychology is so important. I want to dive into neuroscience. And I was able to do that when I was on exchange as well.
Cool.
So I was kind of combining the bio and the psych with more of those neuroscience courses and decided to do a double major.
Very good. Look at you, master. Okay, so explain to me and tell me what it is that you do as a holistic mental wellness coach as opposed to a holistic health coach.
Sure. So I like to say high achievers because I want people that are really driven to heal. I empower high achievers to naturally heal their mind so they can overcome anxiety, step into self-love and confidence, and feel like themselves again. And the reason I call myself a holistic mental wellness coach and have that mental piece in there, even though the body and mind are so interrelated, and realistically, the people that I work with, healing your body and mind and spirit, it's all so connected. The mental piece is the piece that a lot of people are struggling with. And that's the piece that I really want people to learn how to overcome. And, you'll heal your body in the process, but that's not necessarily where you're feeling the pain. The pain of the mind is so deep, and it creates this fog that really infiltrates every part of your day, when you're seeing the world through this darkened lens. So I really want to help people move past that lens and fall in love with themselves. So that they can heal.
I'm thinking for someone going through something, what has to be going on or not going on in someone's life that would fit the services of Carleigh Burns? Excuse me.
That is a great question. I think it's so circumstance dependent. The main thing that has to be going on is that you have to be ready to heal and ready to make that a priority.
That's interesting. And that is true. But, in today's modern world, man, women indirectly wear multiple hats. I mean, it is what it is. We're such amazing creatures. But sometimes it's at the expense of our health and our well-being. Now, with you, I'm going to say doctor, anybody that's making a difference in someone's life, I can call them a doctor because they're doing something great. But how would you work with a client to identify their underlying issues and then help them create a plan to find an overall balance and the fulfillment that they need in their life?
Yeah, great question. So it ultimately starts figuring out the underlying problem, starts with looking at what thought patterns are you having throughout the day. 85% of the thoughts that we have are repeat thoughts from the day before. So when we're feeding ourselves thoughts that aren't really serving us, thoughts of, I can't do this, thoughts of I'm not worthy, thoughts of whatever it is, people have different underlying thoughts that are feeding themselves and keeping their mind kind of spiraling in those negative ways. So if we can dive into those, we can figure out what's not working and how can we shift those thought patterns. But also there are always moments throughout the day, whether it's when you're planning what you're going to eat for dinner or how you're relaxing in the evening or whatever that is. Everyone's lifestyle looks so different. Every moment is an opportunity for healing.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing about, I guess, what I do is teaching people how you can bring that healing into every aspect of your day. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We need to be compassionate with ourselves. But when you're doing that day after day and you're trying and you're dedicated, and again, this is why I say high achievers, you got to be dedicated.
Right.
You will find healing. It will make a huge difference in your life.
There's so many people that needs that. I kid you not. But see, like for me, and you tell me if you are as well, I define wellness as a state of balance between the mind, the body, and the spirit, the whole thing. But now through holistic mental wellness, Carleigh, how do you know whether you're well and when you've achieved wellness? Or is it something that's like an ongoing goal?
That's also a great question. I feel like it is a journey. It's a journey, but with someone who's struggling, like I think of my past self and I knew that I wasn't well. I didn't have those words for it at the time. I just knew that I wasn't happy, that, when I didn't see a reason to go on, I didn't know how serious that was at the time, but I can look back at that and say, wow, that I was sick. I was really struggling back then. And I can look at myself where I am now. And, a lot of it comes with reflection, how I react to things now and how I feel, how I can be genuinely present and really enjoy a moment. That is wellness to me. And you're absolutely right. It's all about balance, and balance is not one like stable thing. It's like, I'm a highliner, which is essentially slacklining, but up high. And you're balancing when you're walking on this piece of webbing. You can think of it like tightrope walking, but more wiggly. There's very rare moments where you're actually static and stable. It's all about the flux.
Right.
And healing is like that too, right? Finding that balance is, it's never going to be like a straight linear path. It's always going to kind of look a little bit wavy, but I guess the wellness comes when you're not going too far in either direction. You're still able to bring it back around that center line of balance and of health.
Let me ask you a question. I heard you say something about a word board. Now, do you have a word board of what positive? Did I hear that right when you were talking?
I don't think I said.
Oh, I thought you said something like a word board. I'm like, that might be a novel idea to have positive words that you should be saying about yourself and negative words you don't want to hear.
Well, absolutely. And that's
a good one.
That's part of the work is unpacking, what am I telling myself that's negative that I don't want to be telling myself?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I shift that into something positive? And, something that you can practice is actually noticing those thoughts, which is a huge first step, like awareness. Once you're aware of the thoughts that you don't want to be having, you're so well on your way. It's amazing.
That's right.
Maybe I came up with a good idea, didn't know it.
I talk to a lot of people, I'm always there for anyone, sometimes a person just needs an ear, someone to hear them. And most times what I give back to them is the fact that, see, I'm not for the traditional way either, medicine. Some doctors, you go to them, they're quick to give you a script. Here, take this. I'm like, oh no, but this messes with my stomach. Quick, here, take this. Oh, but this instead of giving other options, other ways of taking care of and healing. I mean, I tell a lot of people that doctors, if they healed you, if they healed everybody, they'd be out of business. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to take control and put in the effort if you want the change. Now, you've recently launched a program. It's 8 simple steps to naturally heal anxiety. But first, and I'm going to keep this person's.
Can I interrupt something that you just talked on? And it reminds me of a doctor that we had a issue with that wanted to push Humira.
Yeah.
And you wanted to talk to him about turmeric.
I'm like, hey, do you
And
got
he
any
said,
other?
who would make money off of turmeric?
And he walked out.
And he walked out.
Because I refuse. What? Yeah. I've had doctors walk out on me because I refuse to go with their own method. And I'm like, you know how.
Does that make sense? Yeah, that he wanted to promote Humira, and Silvy had questioned him about the benefits
and I'm saying, what?
turmeric.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, nobody make any money off of turmeric, and so gone.
You know, but see, my thing is also, back in the day when you go to a doctor, they'll say, do you have any questions? Nowadays, when you ask a doctor a question, oh, buddy, I've come with questions, you know, because it's your body, it's your temple. You must ask questions. I mean, and so I've had doctors that just walk out on me because they don't want to answer my question. They didn't like my question, and I didn't take what they were pushing. You know, didn't give me no other options. So I'm more holistic. I'm more natural. I totally believe in that by all means. But I have a friend that's in California, and I know that everything that you're doing fits her. Now, I talked to her, and she asked 2 questions that I'm going to honor with respect for her name. And then you can tell me about the 8 simple steps. She says, how do you get out of being stuck and letting someone control you? And then she asks, how do you get rid of anxiety? Now, you can answer those questions, address them if you will, and then explain and tell me about those 8 simple steps that you have.
Awesome. Yeah. So the first question is a tough one. How do you get out of letting someone else control you?
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately comes down to there are theories talked about that we essentially accept the level of abuse, if you will, that we think we deserve. And a lot of times when you're in an unhealthy relationship or in some sort of dynamic where you feel that someone else has power over you, it's maybe because that self-love from within you isn't strong enough yet to take control of your own situation and to say, you know what, I'm better than this, and I'm going to walk away from this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like, this is going to look so different in every situation. And, you know, abuse and people being controlling is not a topic that I take lightly at all.
Okay, wait, but Carleigh, when they do that and leave that situation, it's the mental part that just keeps replaying that the mistake, or keeps replaying, you know, and won't let you get any better because you're stuck. And I was hurting. What am I? You know, that type of thing. You know, the mind. How do you get it out of the mind and without the medicine? You know.
Yeah. So the first step ultimately has to be, the first step with healing is to decide that you're worthy and to start to cultivate some self-love. And I've actually just created a guide that's all about the first step to overcoming anxiety. Mm-hmm. And it's all about cultivating self-love. It's different practices that you can do. And again, a lot of this work goes into changing your mind. And, you know, one thing that you can do is think positive affirmations, and it can feel really silly at first, but even if you don't believe it, thinking the simple thought of thinking, I am worthy, I am safe, I am loved. Mm-hmm. Even if there's a little part of your brain that's like, no, you're not. Having those thoughts, you're still changing your brain. You're still strengthening those thought patterns. You're still hopefully going to pull those over into the next day, mm-hmm. and they become part of your 85%. And as you do that, they get stronger and stronger, and you start to believe them.
Right. I agree with you. You, especially with the affirmations.
To overcome anxiety, how to move past it. Ultimately, and I know some people might feel a little bit like, oh, it sounds like a lot of work, but it's about creating a lifestyle that facilitates healing. Mm-hmm. And the anxiety piece is something that, you know, it may always be there to some degree. The question isn't, you know, whether or not you experience anxiety. The question is whether or not you let it hold you back.
Right.
And
Control.
if it's holding you back, then it's time to find healing. It's time to do this work. It's time to learn to move past it. But it's like, when I'm out on a high line and there's potentially hundreds of meters of air below me, and I'm just tethered into this little 1-inch piece of webbing, it's not that I don't at all feel afraid, but I can look at that fear and I can say, okay, I recognize you. I'm not going to let you win. I'm not going to let you take control of this situation. I'm going to see how I can be in my body and in my breath and stand up and walk, even if I'm afraid. And when you start to do that, you calm down. When you breathe into that fear and you do the thing that is maybe scary. And I know with anxiety, it can be something so small that feels so scary. But when you start to lean into that and do the thing anyway, you train yourself to feel calm in those moments. And you train yourself to keep pushing the bigger fears, the bigger anxieties, so they don't control you anymore. And then you can go back to that first thing that was so scary, and it doesn't scare you anymore because you've learned, oh, I can do that, and it wasn't so bad.
Right, right. And the best part about it is that you've done it. You put in that effort. It should make you feel good that you're doing it. Okay, it takes a little work, but you're worth it. I mean, when you look
Absolutely.
at the outcome, which way you can go this way or this way, I'd rather have control and make a difference than to go and sign myself into the nut house or somewhere and somebody else is controlling me and all they're doing is pushing medicine. They're harboring over what I could be doing to make a difference. And I love that. So I hope that helps. Not going to say her name, but I hope that helps her indeed. And if not, we're going to provide information so that you can contact Carleigh and take it in another step because I think it's necessary. So now you also do Reiki and sound healer, right? That's interesting. What's the best way to explain Reiki and describe sound healing?
Yeah, good question. So Reiki, and sound, they're both forms of energy healing. And essentially what Reiki is channeling life force energy and sending it into normally the body of someone who needs that healing. And a Reiki practitioner, all that we actually are essentially a conduit for this healing energy. And you just basically, when you do your certification, you get a Reiki attunement so you can more easily channel that healing energy. And all anything is energy, and all energy is vibrating at certain frequencies. And when those frequencies get distorted or low, we talk about like low vibes. Reiki can help to kind of work out those kinks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about what the practitioner is doing. It's all they're doing is channeling this energy so the person's body can receive it. And the body knows what to do with this healing energy. It's very wise. And it can take that and find healing in whatever way that needs, move stuck energy and open things up.
Interesting.
Now, sound is similar in that it's also vibration. And when you're playing, whether it's crystal bowls or tuning forks or a gong or whatever that sound is, it penetrates your cells on a really deep level. And again, is that frequency medicine that helps to loosen up blockages and, open up meridians and help things to flow.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So when it comes to sound healing, though, would it kind of, sort of, I like using kind of, sort of, would it kind of, sort of be like listening at home, laying down, and relaxing on the lounger, and maybe listening to the ocean or listening to the rain, the water, or listening to some instrumental, some type of relaxation? Would that still fit as sound healing, sound healing, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touch on a really important point as well. Like all of the sounds that we're hearing, all of the energy we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis, it all is resonating at certain frequencies. And, you can start to look at the music you're listening to, or, if you're living in a city and you're hearing lots of, cars honking and sirens and that sort of thing, that can be really damaging to our nervous systems and can be, quite a low vibrational sound to be taking in versus like you said, if you're listening to the ocean, to the rain, to some beautiful instrumental music, or to some music that has really positive lyrics, that is absolutely a form of sound healing.
I love it. Oh, you make me think I'm smart. That's crazy.
You're brilliant. Absolutely.
But now, what type of ailments? Somebody's out there wondering. I've never tried Reiki. I've never dealt with sound healing, but it could be very, very beneficial to an individual. So, what type of ailments will someone have that they can benefit from Reiki or sound healing?
Yeah, so many things. I truly feel that anyone can benefit from these things, but I know my sound healing teacher struggled with chronic fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually found healing through sound. And then that basically became her whole life, as these things do. It can be great for when we experience a trauma or anything in our lives that elicits an emotional response. We actually store those feelings in our bodies if we don't fully process them, which a lot of times in modern society, we don't give ourselves the time to fully process them. So that might become, that tight shoulder or that kinked hip
Mm-hmm.
or whatever that is. Over time, we're storing energy there. So it can also help with physical ailments because there is a physical component to this. It's energy that's moving around. So any sort of physical, ailments, tension, any sort of mental ailments or tension as well. Like it can really be great. If you're struggling with anxiety, it can be very calming. If you're struggling with depression, it can be very uplifting. Like I mentioned, the chronic fatigue piece. It's a really holistic way to bring in this one practice that has beneficial effects on the mind, body, and spirit.
Hmm. And you know what? I say if you haven't tried it, try it. You have nothing to lose but to gain some peace, but to gain some strength and want even more. I think it's fantastic that good queens like yourself is mentoring, motivating, and empowering women to naturally overcome these anxieties and other disorders while they step into confidence and feel like themselves again. I mean, who can be the better person than we? As authentic and great as we are, but sometimes as humans we need a little edge, we need a little boost, we need a little assistance or support to get us stable. I like using the word stable, to keep stable in life. But now you do all of this for everyone else, but for you, Carleigh, who is your role model or mentor that you look up to for inspiration?
That's a really good question. I love Jay Shetty. I will say that.
Okay.
I think he's an awesome self-development coach, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the biggest mentor that I don't speak to personally that comes to mind. I have had many mentors over the years. When I was 18 and first diagnosed with ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
I got to see an ADHD coach, and he was amazing. He really taught me a lot about how my mind actually works and how maybe it's different from other people's, and that's okay, and figure out tools I could use to work with my mind.
Mm.
And looking back, I think that was my first experience with coaching, and he's a huge inspiration for why I wanted to become a coach and teach others how to heal in this way.
That is good. And thank him for me because the world needs so many more Carleighs all over to do this. And I do want to note that, and you tell me if you still do, but I wanted to note that you do a free clarity call.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for anyone who is potentially a good fit to work with me. So essentially I send out a bit of an intake form to get to know someone. And then if I read it through and say, yep, I think we could work together, we can hop on a call. And my intention is to provide value for that person, to say, here's some things you can start doing right away, to talk about the 8 simple steps to naturally heal anxiety and see if they're a good fit for that as well.
Well, see, that's a good step. When they make the call, they're making the first step. You know what I mean? Of getting out that box. And it's not going to hurt to do that. I'm sure Carleigh's is keeping everything confidentiality between you and her client and her. So I think it's great. And I mean, in balancing the mind, the body, and the spirit, I don't know if you're still doing it again, but you have a retreat that's in Mexico. And before we even talk about whether you still are or you're still not, I want to show this just real brief video of some of the pics of just what you missed or what you could be getting from the retreats. Check this out. Wow, I wouldn't want to go home from going there to there. You've been there before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be going back. The retreat is currently planned for basically over New Year's, the 29th of December to the 5th of January. So I'll be there a little bit earlier in December this year until January.
Wow.
It's such a beautiful and healing place. The cenotes and the jungle and, the fresh local food and
Right.
the ocean. It's
So
such a space that facilitates healing.
what was that igloo for?
Mayan temple.
Yeah, what was that? Tell me, what was that?
Yeah, so that's a temescal, which is a traditional sweat lodge. Yeah, so essentially they use, I believe it's lava rocks, and the rocks are heated in a fire and then brought into the sweat lodge and steamed, like poured water over. So it's like a really hot traditional
sauna or something, like a sauna kind of, sort of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, very nice. So is this on? Is this not on? Is it too late for someone to gather more information and perhaps get involved?
If you wanted to get involved this week, there would still be potential. It's looking like we're probably going to postpone it to an undetermined date at present. Will it happen eventually? Yes, 100%. Will it happen this year? Not 100% sure. But these retreats are another thing that were really pivotal in my life. When I was 15, I went on a juice cleanse. I was working at this raw vegan cafe at the time, and my thought was, oh, juice cleanse, great. I want to be skinny. This is a good way that I, won't eat for a week. And went to Costa Rica and ended up having such a healing experience. When I was at that retreat was really one of those pivotal moments that I realized, okay, I am worthy of healing and I need to start doing something about that. And, the space we were in, we had yoga every day. We had the ocean right there. We were taking mud baths, and we were seeing who essentially was another coach of mine. She was a nutritionist. She was my boss at the time. Wonderful human. And she's the one who really elicited that spark in me that, for one, she informed me that I wasn't eating enough. Somehow I didn't know. And that I was worthy of healing and needed to start, dealing with the things that were stressing me out, needed to start putting myself first. And that was the first retreat that I went on. And the second, I really think of my yoga teacher training as a retreat because it was a 1-month intensive. I was there for 28 days, connecting with people, learning about my mind and my body and nourishing myself and practicing lots of yoga. And my mind has never been more clear than it was coming out of that.
Wow.
So it really makes sense to me to have these containers that are, at least a week long. This one in Mexico is going to be 8 days, where you come and practice yoga and learn about your mind and have so many different types of ceremonies and healing sessions while also experiencing the beauty of the place and exploring the nature around you and, getting coaching to work through what's coming up for you. To have, it's kind of like a big kickstart on your healing journey.
That is great. You're blessed because you are, and it matters that you are around, iron sharpens iron, right? But it's great that you're around good people. Your path has always opened up to something, taking you another step, taking you where you are, not backwards. No one wants to go backwards. And then you're not selfish because you're taking what you've learned, you've taken your skill, and you're helping empower other people, and that's a gift and a blessing at the same time. It really is. So shout out to everyone that has come in your path, because they didn't devastate you. They didn't take you backwards. They just helped uplift you and equip you with the tools and skills that you need to get to where you are. So I'm like honored that you're on the show. We are now creating a legacy. People can go back and check this out and get themselves incorporated. But for you, Carleigh, what's the best health advice that you've ever received? It could be beneficial to someone else.
The best health advice I've received is probably that all of the healing you're looking for is within you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, before we go, is there anything else that you want to add or say? Perhaps I didn't ask you something you'd like to say.
I don't think so. I think just touching on your, shout out to my mentors. I know because of those amazing shining lights in my life and because of the opportunities that opened up before me, I've been able to find healing at such a young age. I was 20 when I really started to uncover all this stuff, that I know it's my calling to share this medicine with other people, because it would just be selfish for me to keep it to myself when I know this stuff works. Wow. And I guess also just for people to recognize that, it's not a linear path. And maybe there was a time when you felt pretty good and then a time when you didn't. And it doesn't mean that you failed. It's just part of the journey of figuring out what works, and know that you can heal. You can do this work. It is a little bit of work. It is a journey, but it is so possible for you to truly overcome what is holding you back in your mind.
Absolutely. I believe that indeed. If someone comes to me or they say something negative, or it doesn't even have to be negative, but it's not the words to use, because words are powerful. If you tell yourself something so long, like, oh my God, I stink, you're going to stink. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you don't do something about it. But I always tell them that, you have the power. You're the one that's in control of this. And when they say, like my friend will say, it's hard. And she'll stick with just, it's hard. I say, finish the sentence. It's hard, but I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's hard, but I'm gonna. You know what I mean? Finish it off with something that's uplifting to get you going and all. But hey, I want you to tell everyone how they can follow you on social media, get in touch with you, get that clarity call, and get the ball rolling in their life.
Absolutely. So the best ways to find me are through my website and through Instagram. So my Instagram is at Manas Mastery. That's MANAS Mastery. And my website is manasmastery.com.
All right. I appreciate that. Hey, I thank you so much for taking the time. You have no idea the difference that you have now made. And I'm glad to have you aboard this platform to make a worldwide difference. We're going to be back in touch with you, I'm sure, because the questions may be flowing and I'm going to send them to you. So awesome. Until then, enjoy your day. And we thank you so much for Queen Silvy Show.
Thank you so much, Silvy. It was such a pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you. Check out this commercial break, guys, and we'll be right back.
Hello. Wow. Thank you, Carleigh. That was
thank you so much, Carleigh Burns.
Informational.
It was great. I enjoyed my conversation. I hope you got some tits and tats out of that, as well as go and get that free clarity call. If you want to know, ask. If you want to get better, do something about it. She's here for you to do something to help you get over anxieties and all other disorders. And we are all worth it. I mean, sometimes we need a little push or some little guidance. And
absolutely,
she is here to help balance your mind, your body, and your spirit. If you want to get into that retreat, hey, go get into it, because I wish I could go. I'm like,
yeah. First off, you need to take ownership and take the first step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't say it's hard. You can do it. You can do it.
Yes, you
and
can.
Follow her, if you will. Carleigh Burns, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Type her in. She's Googleable. Beautiful, smart, Googleable. Hey, it is what it is. I want to thank you, though. Thank you all for being here on this terrific Tuesday, getting this information we aim to bring seriously We aim to bring the best in live entertainment talents, topics, and resources from around the world just for you, and spread the word, if you will, for someone else to come in and get the super greatness 3 days a week, every Tuesday, with the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show. Tomorrow's Wednesday, that is Smooth Tim and Tim's Tidbits with special co-host Larry E. out of Dallas, Texas. Anything you want to say or lead up to?
Tune on in.
The mystery is on. But this greatness is indeed in store for you. It's in the evenings tomorrow on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Do check your time zones, but join us for that. And then come on back on Thursday, because that is Now You Know show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim, bringing you inspirational, encouraging, motivating, funny, musical, so much in store for some great kings and queens, bringing it all just for you. That is in the evening, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, do check your time zone.
Indeed.
Smooth, tell everyone how we can be followed.
Simply Google us. Yeah, be the easiest way. And whatever comes up as your favorite platform, go ahead, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, blah, 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 blah.
Anywhere.
Everywhere. But hey, while you're on your YouTube site, that'd be the best, because we've got all of our videos up there, as well as some other projects that we work on, movies, cartoons. We try to keep busy that way.
I be young.
And we forget how old we really are.
Yeah,
anyhow, yeah, so while you're on the YouTube site, The Queen Silvy Show, it's pretty much the way we can get in anything. Subscribe. We would sincerely
appreciate it. Absolutely. Well, you know it's Tuesday. You know I'm fasting. You
Yeah,
know
I'm
I just had a cup of tea and I'm ready to go and go and feed my face is what I'm going to go do. So, hey, whatever you do, make the most of it. Stay positive. Make a difference. Be kind. And join us Wednesday,
next week,
Thursday, Tuesday. Hey, we're
always here. You can join me tomorrow night. I ain't trying. We'll just talk about people. Hey.
But it's all in good fun. So, nevertheless, and with that said,
till next week, same Queen time, same Queen station. We'll holla. Bye, y'all.